So I have come to accept that I am just an inconsistent reader. Sometimes I will be reading a lot, and sometimes I'm in a slump. I've been in a little bit of a rolling reading slump since 2022. I think I'm getting out of it. Actually, according to Goodreads, apparently I've read 75 books this year, which I don't remember doing. I'm on track for hitting my reading goal this year, which is surprising because I really don't remember reading that many books. But I told myself that if I read at least 2 books that were not rereads over the course of a 7-day period, I can start my reading vlog again, which I did finish 2 books this week. So the first one was The Woman in Suite 11 by Ruth Ware. I love Ruth Ware's books. This was one that I listened to on audiobook. It's a sequel to The Woman in Cabin 10, but I don't think you have to read The Woman in Cabin 10 to read this one. I did not reread the book in order to read this. I enjoyed this. It was a good vibe, but I will say it's not my favorite of her books. Like, I found it to be very predictable, but at the same time, it was just a great vibe and I enjoyed that. I like her like atmospheric writing, and Imogen Church as an audiobook narrator is fantastic. I enjoyed it and I gave it 3.5 stars. The second book that I finished this week was Dracula by Bram Stoker, which is a classic. I actually read this because I was planning to do kind of like a vampire series in the month of October, so I was like, let me start it out. But I started, I want to say at least 3 or 4 vampire books and did not finish them, but I did finish this one because, I mean, it's a classic for a reason. I will say it's super predictable because like it's exactly what you think it's gonna be, but I still really enjoyed it. I think part of it is I really like the audiobook narrator that I picked for it, which was Simon Vance. He has a version of this and I really liked that. Overall, probably not my favorite classic ever, but I still really enjoyed it, and I would give it like 3.75 stars, which, by the way, in some ways this is different than I expected, because I expected it to be more about Dracula, where it was kind of more about Lucy, which is one of his victims. I think that's something I've been noticing a lot about the vampire books that I've been reading, and not finishing, mind you, but the ones that I've been trying to read, a lot of them surround young women or young girls, which is interesting, being turned into vampires. These young innocent girls becoming monsters, which is weird, but also kind of interesting. So yeah, I don't know. I will eventually do that, but I think I don't want to concentrate all of the vampire readings in like 1 to 2 weeks. I think I'll spread it out over a longer period of time because I just get so saturated from this. Vampires are not even like one of my favorite things to read about too. So I will get back to them. I did enjoy the one vampire book I did manage to finish, and I suppose it's a classic for a reason, right? As for currently reading, I actually don't have very much in this category, but last night I did decide to start The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. I did read this, so this is technically a reread, but it's been such a long time and I never continued on with the series, but I don't really remember it that well. So I started back this last night and it feels very familiar, which, considering it's a book that I've read before, makes sense, but also it's very similar to a lot of surprisingly like YA type of fantasy books, which I wasn't considering this YA, but it has that feel to me, or at least the type of book that I would have read as a young adult, like between the ages of like 15 to 25. And the main character of this book is 16 and he's going to a magic school of sorts, which I don't know why I didn't expect that. I'm enjoying it. Part of the reason I'm reading this is because I do want to finish this series finally, because it's one that like I rated this 5 stars back in like I want to say 2021 and I just never continued on with it. So that's what I'm trying to do, is trying to continue on with series that I've started and also read just books that I own, and I own this entire series. So I'm excited to read this. Also, The Strength of the Few is coming out in November and I want to finish James Islington's other works before I get to it. I have read The Will of the Many and I love it, and I will be rereading it in anticipation, but my goal is to finish this series before I get to the reread of The Will of the Many, which gives me not a whole lot of time to do that. But this has been going pretty well so far. I'm not super far into it, around chapter 4, but I am enjoying it quite a bit so far. I will be picking an audiobook to read as well, but I kind of want to get another physical book because that book, even though it is a physical book, I do think I will be reading the ebook a little bit more for that, because I found ebooks have been working better for me than physical books recently. So I do want to pick out another physical book because I do have access to the ebook of that book from my library. So I just want something that I'll actually be able to carry around. That book's a bit chunky to carry around. One of my goals earlier this year, which I've kind of just started over completely, I don't think I'm gonna make any of those goals, but one of them was to read more of my owned books. So how I think we're gonna do this is I have 8 shelves behind me. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take a random number generator to pick just a random book off the shelves for me to try. I may not finish the book. If I like the book, I'm not gonna force myself to unhaul it if I'm just just not in the mood for reading that book right now, even though I think it's a book that I could read because I spent money on these books, so obviously I do want to read them. But the goal is just to open my mind to books that maybe I just wasn't planning on picking up, but I could still get to. The goal for this is in my vlog, as long as the vlog goes on, I'll always have at least one of these books that I'm currently reading alongside the audiobook and ebooks that I'm also reading. We'll see how this goes. So I have 8 bookshelves, so we're gonna do 8, generate number 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, which is my fantasy shelf. I'm pretty excited about that. Obviously, I love reading fantasy. This is not just my fantasy shelf, but this is my adult fantasy shelf, and there are a lot of unread books in there because there are a ton of these mass market paperbacks in the back. This shelf, the 3rd shelf, and the 5th shelf, a ton of them. We'll see though what we end up getting. So 5th shelf, number 5, generate. I think that gave me a 4 again. I feel like I need to like restart it, and yeah, let's go 5th shelf, and then okay, it gave me, I don't think I have any unread books on shelf 2. Let's see, there's like 1, and it's one that I've tried to read this week, so let's just regenerate that one. Okay, it gave me 3, so that's this shelf. I also don't think I have very many unread books on this shelf, but I think there are none. There are no unread books on the shelf. There are none. No, there's got to be at least 1. Nope, I've read all of these books. Wow. These 2 shelves are like my favorite books of all time. It's Wheel of Time, Stormlight Archive, Realm of the Elderlings, and Lord of the Rings. So yeah, I've read all of those. I'm just gonna do it out of 3. Okay, 1. There's a ton of unread books on this shelf. Approximately 15 books on this shelf, so I'm gonna do it out of 15. Number 8. So the 8th book on the shelf, starting at the back left, is gonna be the book that I read, if it's unread. If it's not unread, then I'll just pick the one next to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The Woman's War by Jenna. I have not read this book. So I have not read this book, but it has been on my list to read for the longest while. I think it's the first book in a series. So kind of excited about this. I don't know anything about this, so I feel like it's a good choice. So we'll see how this goes. But I do have now 2 chunky fantasy books to read this week. So I feel like that's plenty to start off with. Okay, so it turns out I don't have access to the ebook for A Shadow of What Was Lost, so I'm gonna be out of town for a couple of days, so I decided to bring that physical book for me, and then instead of bringing The Woman's War, I got the audiobook for it, because I had access to the audiobook. I've been listening to the audiobook, and I'm enjoying it a lot. It is very politically driven. There is kind of like a feminist undertone to it, which I really like, and of course, there's magic. There are just a lot of moving parts that I'm enjoying so much, and I'm really excited to see where this is going. In this, there is like this spell that is cast in which women can control like when they have kids. So in this patriarchal society where like the men like need to have an heir, this actually gives women a lot of power. But we'll see how it goes because I haven't gotten super far into it yet, but I'm enjoying it so far. Alrighty, so it's Wednesday, I'm back in town, and I've made a lot of progress on The Women's War. I'm almost done with it. It is so close to being done, which by the way, I definitely thought I would have more time for like physical books and less time for audiobook, which is why I put this as an audiobook. So I was like, I'm not as interested in it as I am my other book, so I'm gonna have this one be the audiobook. But then I found myself like leaning towards this one more. So yeah, I was kind of surprised by that, but I'm enjoying this so much. It's following 4 different women in this world after the curse has been put on them. It's not really a curse. It's basically women can control their own reproduction. So like if they don't want to have kids, then they don't have to. Also, it's like a form of birth control. It's very interesting because it's following like a queen who now has agency, doesn't necessarily have to get a king, or doesn't necessarily have to like closet herself away, if that makes sense, or get married for that matter. Then it's also following another queen who is married, who married into the kingdom, but like she doesn't like her husband. She's not a queen. She's like a princess, I guess. And then it's also following Alisoun, who is the daughter of the abbess who laid the curse on the world, but also she's the bastard daughter of the king, and she doesn't want her daughter to be like sent away and married off to like this awful neighbor to the north. So she's trying to get her daughter married before anyone does that. And then it's also following Chantix, who is the new abbess of like the home for unwanted women. So it's following these 4 characters, and I like seeing how their storylines start to intertwine and how like they deal with this. I'm so interested in seeing where this is going because I honestly have no idea, but this has just worked really well for me and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. On the other hand, I thought I was gonna love this. Mind you, this is a reread. I read it back in 2020. I gave it 5 stars. So I was just like, I read this so quickly back then. I'm just gonna read it and then I can get to the other books in this series and I can binge read this series before The Strength of the Few comes out. And this book is annoying me so much. And I'm not even that far into it. I'm like 100 pages. Where is it? There. I'm there. I started reading chapter 10, but like one of my pet peeves in writing happened at the very beginning of chapter 10. And it's not like it's not even an important thing. Like it's so minor, but I could not continue on with it. Like I just couldn't. So I think it's such a minor thing. I feel like because I have changed so much as a reader since 2020, I don't necessarily want to rush through the series anymore. So I think I could pick this back up after I've read The Strength of the Few, but I think there's too little time in between now and when that comes out for me to give this the time of day right now, because I'm not going to be reading this as fast as I thought I would. Because if I was reading it as fast as I thought it would, I would be basically almost done with it, like I am with The Women's War, but I'm not. Yeah. We're going to skip this for now. I'll get back to it in November or December. Probably December. This feels like a good December book. Like it has like nostalgic vibes and like high fantasy adventure type of vibes that I normally really like, but something about it is just annoying me right now. But because of that means I need a new physical book, which my physical book, even though The Women's War was supposed to be my physical book, I made it my audiobook. So I need a new physical book. So my physical books are going to be the ones that I pull off my shelves through random number generating. So we're gonna need to pick a new one. Okay, so I have 8 shelves. 8, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's gonna be the one under the TV, which are book of the month books, almost exclusively. A lot of them are my newer book of the month books though, so it could be interesting. A lot of them are like fantasy, sci-fi type of book of the month books for the most part, because on the newer ones, I've been picking those more. So it should be interesting. Alrighty, so it's this shelf down here, which you can't see, but I'll move you again, don't worry. This top one's gonna be 1, 2, 3, and 4, the very bottom one. 2, so that means it's gonna be this one down here. I have less than 10 books on that shelf, so I'm just gonna do it out of 10. Okay, I lied. I actually have 11 books on the shelves, 5 as the number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think this is romantasy. I've never read this author before. It's A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. I believe this is the first book in a new series. Saga of the Unfated Book 1. Don't know what this is about, but it looks like fun, so this is gonna be my new physical book for right now. Okay, so yesterday I started A Fate Inked in Blood. I couldn't find the book. I don't know where I put it, but this is the dust jacket. I'm about halfway through it already in one day. I think the random number generator was just nice to me this week. I didn't expect it. Like, I don't know if you could tell from my facial expression when it had 5 for the bookshelf, because I knew that was like my book of the month, like unread bookshelf, like the recent book of the month book. And I didn't know how I felt about that, but this works. I don't read a whole lot of romantasy, and a lot of times when I do, I feel like a lot of them, or at least maybe just a lot of the popular ones that I've heard, I don't end up liking. Because I don't know, I like worlds that are intricate and complex, and like if I don't like the plot, then I'll struggle with the story overall. But this one, I'm enjoying the plot a lot. I think the world, I mean, obviously it's based off of Norse mythology, which is interesting, but I mean, it's not exactly original. I think it still works really well, and I do find it quite interesting, but also I'm enjoying the plot of this one quite a bit. So I'm excited to see where this goes. It is just super easy to read too. I think I'll pick up more books by this author because I think she has like a couple of other series as well. And this one I've been enjoying quite a bit. I've never read her before, but it's so far so good. Really enjoying this. I have made a bit of progress on The Women's War, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. One thing I will say about this, I feel like books like this, they tend to, when they have like strong women characters, they tend to villainize the women, and this one's not, which makes me really happy. There are still a lot of villainized men, which I understand the point of this book, like, but it's very on the nose, if that makes sense. Like, I think just because someone is an adversary to our main character or to like the main point of the story doesn't mean they necessarily have to be a complete villain. But the book very much villainizes not all men, but quite a lot of them. But I'm still enjoying it. I think I will be finishing it before the end of the week. Really excited to see how it ends. I think this is the first book in a series too. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to continue on with the series, just because there are a couple of things about the book that while I'm enjoying the book, really it's the thematic elements and how kind of on the nose they are that is not fully working for me. And if the rest of the series is going to be like that. It's a huge book. So if there's more books in the series, I think they would probably be similar to that as well. So really depends on the end, but so far I am enjoying it. So I bought a few books. It is like October season, so it is just the perfect time of year for some dark academia. I'm so excited for this. First of all, we'll talk a little bit the Raven Scholar. This is somewhat of a cover buy because look how beautiful that cover is. I don't know what you can see, but it's super shiny. I love it. I saw someone else talking about this and like I could not take my eyes off of this cover, and it seems to be like a very popular fantasy book from earlier this year, which I'm always looking for new authors and new series that are like good, so I'm hoping I can end up loving this. But this is not going to be the next book I pick up because next week it's time for Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. I absolutely love R.F. Kuang. I kind of feel bad that I didn't pick this up right away, but I was like in the middle of a reading slump, but I am ready for it. I'm so ready for it. I love Dark Academia. I understand this book is getting like a lot of bad reviews, but I think what I've heard of it, I think I'll like it better than some of her other books because I struggled a little bit with Babel. I did still end up liking Babel, but because of the way the themes are written, and I've heard this one is a lot more subtle, which makes me excited because I do love a good subtle book. The main characters of this book are literally traveling to hell, which sounds like so much fun. And look at this edition. It's so gorgeous. I haven't even looked if there's anything special on the inside. The hardcover special. I love it. It's so pretty. And R.F. Kuang is one of those authors that like whenever she has a book out, you know I'm reading it. I might not be buying it, but I'm reading it. And this one is one that obviously I bought also, but this is like a sneak peek into what's coming next week. I'm really excited for this, in case you were wondering. So yeah, I will be picking this up as soon as possible. Okay, I did a thing. Is it obvious? Can you see it? Does it look terrible? Personally, I kind of like how it looks, but let me explain. I've been watching a lot of booktube recently. One thing I've been noticing people do, not that people have not been doing this, but I've been noticing a lot of people have, like in their bookshelf reorganization videos, have been physically separating their TBR books, like read books, like the physical books they own that they haven't read from the books that they have read and decided to keep. And I could not do that because I actually really love my organization system. It's generally organized by like genre, but like I kind of know where everything is. Like all of the books have been in this place for like 5 years now. So like I know where everything is. So I don't really want to move everything around. Also, that'd be a lot of work. But I liked the idea of being able to physically see my unread books. So what I decided to do instead was I turned around all of my unread books, which actually surprised me how many books I actually have read, because I kind of expected more than half of my books to be unread. Well, that's not true at all. Like I actually like have like full shelves of books that I have read. I mean, I expected to have some, but I have a lot more than I had originally expected. So proud of myself for that. But also, like now I have like a visual reminder of the books that I physically own that I still need to read. And I feel like it's kind of a reward when you read a book and get to turn it around on the shelf and you get to see the progress that you're making throughout the year. At least that's how I think it's gonna go. But we'll see. I think it should be a good motivator for me to be able to read more of my physical books, because if I read more, then there's gonna be more color on my shelves. But I also kind of like some of the white shelves, like specifically like my newer book of the month shelf. It like actually kind of looks cool because nearly all of the books are unread, so like nearly all of them are turned around, so it has more of like a neutral color palette, so it actually kind of looks interesting. I don't know how long I'm gonna keep it this way, but for now I kind of like the change. So I finished The Woman's War by Jenna. That ending was wild in both a good way and a bad way. Like it ended on a big plot twist and like a devastating plot twist. Like it was emotionally devastating. It was unexpected, but also kind of expected. Like it was done really well, but also that it immediately ended. Like it was so abrupt. I was not expecting it. If I'd been reading the physical book, I probably would have expected a little bit more because I would have seen like there's like only like 3 pages left, but I was listening to the audiobook and I wasn't like paying attention to how much time was left. But like it's like the thing happened, we got like the initial reaction, and then it like immediately ended. Like there was nothing left of the book, and I'm just like, it would be like if George R. R. Martin ended the 3rd like Song of Ice and Fire book with the Red Wedding. There would be no chapter after that for us to see like the fallout of the thing that happened. Like, I've been waiting this entire book. It's very slow burn plot, but I knew it was coming and it was building up and the twist was actually so good. But then, like, it just ends. It's not a cliffhanger. Like, we get to see what happens, but then there's no fallout from that. And a lot of times the fallout is the most interesting part of the story. So I feel like the ending should have happened like 3/4 of the way into the book, and then we should have still had like 15 to 30% of the book left to see the fallouts. I am both happy about the ending and frustrated about it. I think this book does so many things right. Like, the characters are so unique and interesting. I think the world building is intricate and complex in the best ways possible. I think the writing is super easy to read and just like fun to follow along with. But I struggled with the plot structure a little bit, and I also struggled a little bit with the way the thematic elements are portrayed, because they're very, you don't really have to think too much to get into like the thematic elements of this. So like, I mean, that's not that big of a deal, but it is something that I just personally don't like when that happens. The plot, I think, is more of a bigger deal because there are 4 subplots going on. 3 of them are really intertwined, but there's still like one main one from those 3, and then like one of them is like like Queen Ellen over this other country. And I think out of the 4 subplots that were going on, Ellen is the only one that had like a good, satisfying ending. Like, there was just like one thing more that I would have wanted from her plot, but like, I'm okay with that thing being left to the second book. But the other 3, like 2 of them didn't even get an ending, in my opinion. Like, there was no ending to their subplot, and then one of them kind of did get an ending, and it was the plot twist, and we get to see her initial reaction, but we don't get to see the other 2 characters react to that because it affects them too, and we also don't get to see anyone around them react to that either. And I feel like the reaction was kind of weird. Like, it was the initial reaction, but it was not like, what is she gonna do about this? You know what I mean? Which I feel like is important for this kind of plot. While I like that the author went there, and I like the plot twist itself, I needed more from this book. So I'm giving this one 3.75 stars. Don't know yet if I'm gonna pick up the second or third book. Like, if it had been at my library, I absolutely would have, but my library only has the first book. They don't have the second and the third book, and I don't know if I care enough about this series to actually buy the second and third books. So if I find another way of getting them without having to buy them, then I'll definitely read them. But as of right now, this might be a one and done for me. Okay, forgot, but we're gonna put it back on the shelf because I get to, well, not actually turn it around, but I get to put it back like facing the right way. Should go here. You know what's really funny? Since I turned the books around, I feel like they got bigger because it's a lot harder to fit books on the shelves now than it was when they were facing all the same way. Yeah, I don't see it. So, the Women's War, all done now. So yesterday, I ended up going to Disney, and it was a long day, let's just say the least. I ended up going to both Epcot and Magic Kingdom in the same day, which is a lot. My legs are completely wrecked today, but it was kind of worth it because I got to ride Guardians of the Galaxy and Tron in the same day, which was a lot of fun. But it also means that I did not end up finishing A Fadington Blood like I had planned to, because when I got home, I read for like an hour, but I was not taking in any of the information. I read like maybe a chapter. Like, it usually doesn't take me that long to read a chapter, maybe 2 chapters, which I enjoyed, but like, I was just so done for the day that I just went to sleep after that, and then I ended up sleeping for like 10 hours. I will be getting to this today because today all I'm doing is resting. By the time I get to this video is going to be up because I do want it to go out today. Right about here. A little bit left. I do think I will finish it today. I kind of spoiled myself for the ending because I read the summary of the second book in the duology, and it kind of has a spoiler in like the first line, but it also makes me more excited for the ending. So I will definitely be getting to this today. I'm thinking it's going to be around like a 4-star, but I do have plans to continue on with this series. I think I will like sit through and read the next book in the series. I don't know if I'm going to do it right away or not. I think this is one of those books or one of those series that I can kind of like, when I need something just more lighthearted that I know I can just get through quickly, I'll be able to pick up the second book in this series and really enjoy it. But yeah, this is like a fun romantasy series. Like, I feel like a lot of times with romantasy series, I have so many problems with them, but this one I'm actually really loving. I think the magic system feels unique, even if it's based off of Norse mythology. I like the main characters, and I like the overall plot of this because, I mean, it is very not like other girls because like our main character is like special in certain certain ways and we don't really know why, but like, how many fantasy books do you get where the main character isn't special? You know what I mean? I'm enjoying this so much, and I am excited to continue on with this series as well. So that is all I have for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will be posting at least one video per week for the rest of the year, so please consider subscribing. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.